Brands aren't judging your worth as an artist. They're asking a simpler question. Does this reduce risk? If you're a beginner photographer and videographer, you're probably trying to work with some new brands, and you're probably getting a lot of confident advice. Be more creative, stand out, buy better gear. Some of that is good, some of that is wrong, some of it will just slow you down. I worked in-house as a photographer and videographer for a beauty brand for 6 years. I wasn't just shooting, I was responsible for concepting, producing, editing, and delivering things all on tight deadlines with real constraints. This video isn't about how things should work, it's about how things do work. Here's the first thing I learned from working inside a brand. Brands aren't usually optimizing for your own self-expression. They're optimizing for risk. Every piece of content exists inside a system. Marketing calendars, budgets, funnels, approval chains, and performance metrics. Content is planned weeks, sometimes months in advance. It has to work across multiple platforms and crops, and most importantly, it has to justify the spend. Creativity matters, but it's not usually the only variable, and it's definitely not the most important. Once you understand that, brand decisions start to make a lot of sense. Beginners often assume brands want the most creative decision in the room. Sometimes they do, but oftentimes they don't. In my experience, brands want content that is clear, approachable, on trend, and product forward. Advertising research has consistently shown that clear product communication often outperforms abstract creative when the goal is sales and consideration. Abstract work has value, but it often carries more risk. If your image is interesting but unclear, oftentimes brands won't use it. Not because it's bad, but because it's uncertain of what's being sold. Brands don't hire people based on who they might become. They hire based on what's already been proven. That's why portfolio work is so important. Internally, new ideas had to be supported by evidence. Competitor example, trends, prior performance. Taste alone here wasn't enough. Hiring works the same way. If your portfolio shows that you can consistently light products, deliver usable variations, and shoot for multiple formats, you look safer. Oftentimes, safer gets hired more than impressive. This isn't how it should be, but this is how it is for a brand. Inside a brand, content is the fuel. We needed options. We needed different crops, different angles, different versions for different platforms, and different stages of the funnel. This is why brands ask for more deliverables than creatives expect. It's not greed, it's just efficiency. This is why in your portfolio, it's important to show sets instead of one perfect image. It shows that you know how brands actually want to use the content. Sometimes brands hire you because they love your style, and that's awesome. Other times brands hire you to execute their vision, and you have to be able to do both. Personal work builds taste, style, and your own creativity, but brand work proves your usefulness. Early in your career, usefulness opens more doors than creativity alone. That doesn't mean abandoning creativity, that just means understanding context. Brands aren't judging your worth as an artist. They're asking a simpler question. Does this reduce risk? If you want to do brand work, learn how brands think. Not so that you can imitate them, but so you can meet them where they are. In future videos, I'll break this down further. Portfolios, gear myths, and the reality of freelance versus in-house. If that's useful to you, subscribe. Thanks.